Peace, peace, love, and wisdom. To right now, unraveling the spell of all spells, unveiling the magic of all magic, the occult knowledge of occult magic, this science and these practices that the evil have been using, have been plaguing us until we understand. Now we have the understanding. And so now, since the perfect truth, known as Al Suf Eon, the Al Sufion, we can clearly, distinctly know the falsehood. And so, as they always say, falsehood work for the lie. And lie is just a servant of the truth. So all these other books are just servants of falsehood, collecting the spirits of lies. And those who of truth will not agree with those books of evil, because they are of truth. So this is why we have to uncover through the rediscovery of what is the prime magic used that relates to all other magics and subsets of magics. Anything falsehood and anything falsehood is fiction. And anything fiction is make-believe. So the spell have been a conglomeration of make-believe, sprinkles and icings of truth. And so we must bring forth what we're going to bring forth today is the dispelling of the ancient sorcery and ancient magic of Kabbalah. And so to understand where Kabbalah began, you must understand the origin of its foundation. The origin of the foundation of the Kabbalah is Cain and Abel. This is where you get the word Kabbalah from Cain and Abel. And in the biblical book of Genesis, Cain and Abel are the first two sons of Adam and Eve. So as we do, and we have covered the original sin, which is based upon Adam and Eve, and sin had sin, or children. And so those children was the offspring of evil. And to prove that, there was a murder taking place in the Genesis story. This was so-called a holy book, but in the opening of the book is murder. They say as you see, this was the first murder from the first born. Cain slew Abel. Kabbalah. So the tree of knowledge of good and evil is the tree of death. The tree of death is not the tree of life. You have to know in this time, what are you? Are you the living or are you the dead? So those who are finding a way and have not yet become all wise does not know this truth. And so this truth will bring awareness. And after you are aware, you can decide your choice. No matter how much information is presented to you, how many videos you click on, you will still have the choice to make. And if you never make the choice, it never comes. The results never come. So as we see with Cain and Abel, Cain and Abel is the foundation of the Kabbalah. So this is where you also get the word Babel. So you know when you hear the Tower of Babel, this comes from blah, 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 Kabbalah. So the Tower of Babel, Blah, blah. So now we understand where all confusion came from. This tower called Babel, or Babel. Baal was Abel. You see the word Abel? The word Abel is the word Babel. So after Abel was slew by Cain, by the spirit of Cain, Abel's name was Baal. So Babel is the land of Nod, or the Tower of Babel. This is why people started being confused. The author of confusion was born when Babel or Bala was born. You see, the location was Babylon. Hence, that's why they call it Babel. So all scholars know that Babylon was the birthplace of evil. Just like Cain slewing evil, or Cain slewing Abel, was evil. So according to the story, a united human race speaking a single language and migrating eastward comes to the land of Shinar, which is Sumar. So we understand the connection with Babylon and Sumeria. Sumar is Shinar or Shinar. So they agreed to build a city and a tower with its top in the sky. So this is in just reference to bringing confusion on the land. Now, if they confuse the mind, then everything else will be confused, the spirits and the spirits in the body. So this is what we have scattered amongst the world. And so you see a Sumerian story with some similar elements is told by Immakar and the Lord of Arata. Old ancient Sumerian spirits of the dead. So these are just brought in to show the beginning practice of Kabbalah. The origin being Cain and Abel. So this is another word for Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel. Cannibal. Cain and Abel. A person who eats the flesh of other human beings. Now, the practice of Kabbalah magic, which they have put a little sweet spin on it and say mysticism. But Kabbalah magic or Kabbalah mysticism is Cain and Abel, cannibal, Cain and Abel. Humans eating humans after killing them and worshiping them to their dead spirit gods. And this is what we must know and understand. If you don't understand the wisdom, you will not become wise. So matter of fact, I'll do this video and another one. I'm going to merge it into this video. Just the idea of which I was going to single out alone on that, but we're going to bring it in here. See, here is wisdom. There's two selves. The wise self or the dumb self. And this is wisdom. The practice of Kabbalism is the practice of ignorance. It's the way of being dumb, blind, and deaf. Kabbalism is the form of the tree of death. To eat from the tree of death, its fruits is not everlasting. Because you have to be an animal to practice animal ways. And an animal is that feeds on the flesh of its own species. So when we look at things of how this has been created for us to be under as a spell. So this was the first gift as a curse. names of spirits in the name of God. Now they have different ways, like gematria. And see, this is the front side of the Kabbalah in order to bring you in. And once you in, you will find satanic practices, worshiping some forms of magic. So they have this science called gematria that you just got to know the word if you want to pull it up. And see, let me go in and let's read just a little bit for your understanding. So when they're using Kabbalah, they are using it to confuse and using it to create a system and a model, worshiping beliefs, faiths of spirits of the dead. And so it has collected all the spirits of the dead since it came into existence, causing bloodshed and conquering through stealing and stealing and stealing. Just a few sentences out the article. Gematria, having long been fascinated with the mysterious powers of numbers, enough to write 2 books on the topic, we often sidestepped the subject of numerology because of its lack of a true scientific basis. Yet ancient and esoteric traditions looked at numerology as not only a tool for divination, but a method of acquiring knowledge beyond that of the 5 senses. So gematria has been used as a Hebrew word coming out of the terms from Kabbalah to describe the practice of changing a letter to a number and a number to a letter. So when you see logos, let's go like this now. Let's see, company logos. When you see company logos like this is called Kabbalah magic. We don't know how these words came to be. We don't know what these symbols represent. These logos are logos for a reason. They are worshiping a spirit. Every symbol indicates a spirit. And so we have to understand Kabbalah magic is all about spirit summoning. So to spirit summon is saying just you make symbols, shapes, sigils in order to invoke letter and number to invoke a spirit of the dead. And you don't need this to create anything in life. The world was not created like this. You don't see just logos and emblems and signets, sigils, signets in the sky. This was all man-made. And it comes from a ancient sacred science of what I'm showing you now. So all these companies have been using this, and this is how they've been becoming wealthy upon our ignorance. So as we see, these practices come from evil traditions such as the Mishnah and the Talmud. And these letters are associated with numbers. As you see, 22 letters of the alphabet. So any alphabet consists of numbers. So every alphabet also has behind it a gematria, which you know as a geometry. And this is what creates the results of what you may call chance or luck if you're not privy to how society uses Kabbalah magic. The world doesn't use Kabbalah. The world that the Creator created doesn't use Kabbalah. So I provided already what is that called and what that is. Right now we on this subject matter debunking the opposite of truth. So we see it's based on Cain and Abel. They using labelers to eat our spirits, to have us worship their products by putting sigils and names of spirits as brands of products, making us being consumed by that spirit, and we giving our spirit to a lesser spirit. So magic squares, all this has to do, anything with a square has to do with Kabbalah magic. And so even the 72 names, when we calling on the Shem HaHeferesh, that is the 72 names. When we dealing with the clip off, that is also Kabbalah magic. So all these are sciences that the evildoers practices upon the ignorant. Once you are all wise, you know exactly what these things are. And if more importantly, you know if you didn't create it, then someone else created it. All right. So now when we speaking about mystical codes, so they are hiding mysticism under Kabbalah. So you don't know the exact science. Now that it's coming more and more out, a lot of people are associated with it. And this is how they get their power. So these have been the ways of death. So these have been the ways of death by not understanding what you worship. So even your religions was created the KJ version, see, came out in 1611. And it's on par with the Rhemish Testament and the Genevan Bible. See, and that's 1611. The Kabbalah they like to bump it up and say 12th century. but I have 15th and 16th century. 12th century is before the Bible. So all these practices was with the Kabbalah. And these are people who call themselves Kabbalists. They are Kabbals. And that's what Kabbalism or cannibalism or Kabbalism, Kabbalism, Cain and Abel. So these things show us that we have not been exposed because these things been long in existence. And we are teaching ourselves these things, and they have not exposed any of this. So in the time that we are in, we have to take care of our mind, spirit, and body ourselves, not through books, but through the Creator's creation. See, because this is what happened when you start reading books. They start sliding in evilness. And so let's dig into a little bit now that we got the foundation of what is Kabbalah. So now let's build on to what have they supplied the Kabbalah with now. Okay, Article 137, Kabbalah mysticism. That's what I was saying, magicism. That's Kabbalah magic or Kabbalah mysticism. Now, Canon 65:13, Kabbalah, in Hebrew meaning reception. So that means receive, that means submit. So the Kabbalah is wanting you to submit to something. Let's see. Also known as Kabbalah, Kabbalah, is a late 15th century and 16th century CE incomplete occult philosophical framework. So they want you to submit to an occult philosophy that was created by the Pisan and the Venetian families. So these families orchestrated a occult philosophical framework to control and rule people under Kabbalah. That people would want to receive this, and by receiving this, they will become subjects of it. So we need to find out what was this framework created to do. It was created by the Pisan Venetian families that seeks to divine, okay, here it comes, that seeks to define and then reveal to worthy initiates. So we already know that's Cretism. And Cretinism is a form of cultism. So these are culters or Kabbalists that are seeking to initiate worthy candidates of their choice to give them the true rules, functions, and purposes between the absolute divine creator of existence or Ayin Sof. So certain elite rulers want to know the true rules, functions, and purposes between the absolute divine creator of existence or the Ayin Sof and levels of existence of the universe or Olam. Already sounding familiar? Through complex teachings and reinterpretations of sacred texts and symbols. And there we go. So if we bring the Sufyan, that is the word Sufyan. See, they have taken the truth and perverted it by creating their own. only for to initiate certain rules, functions, and purposes to initiates, so they can understand how to really rule over people. How do you create the functionality to rule over people, and how you get people to feel they have a purpose. And so these things was stolen out of our Sufyan and then recreated as their Kabbalah. And then our Asalam was stolen and turned to their Olam. And they did this through complex teachings. And as we say, as a Sufyan says, any teaching that is claiming complex and confusing words is a false rule. We don't need complex teachings to understand our Creator. We don't need complex rules, complex functions. No, that's what have been the magic placed on us to make it appear as it's difficult. Woo. And how these reinterpretations are done? Through sacred texts. So they'll copy a sacred text as the Sufyan and then rebirth it into a reinterpretation, into a plagiarism. They diddy bop it and create the Kabbalah. So now they turn the truth into a blah blah, a blah, blah blah blah. So now this is why we have to understand when Kabbalah blah is speaking, we need to understand the true knowledge of la la la. See, they put the B to disrupt as a consonant, to stop you, but to block you. So just we ain't gonna get it. We'll say that for the academy. So this is for public awareness and for those who love learning and have respect of learning. If you want to get deep into these understandings and become all wise, then you need to come to the Al Sufyan Academy, where we have the truth and the wisdom for you. Visit KOS community with a K.com. That's if those who have an ear, let them hear. Kabbalah is therefore the antithesis, the antithesis of humanism. So now human and spirits. So now when you hear people talking about spirituality, they only practicing a form of Kabbalah. It don't matter. This is the beginning point of all lies. All liars begin with this lie. They don't have to know the full science. Just the way of lying is the way of death, and the way of ignorance is to ignore wisdom. So a lot of us have ignored our own wisdom compass, our own moral magnet. So we have lost our connection to ourselves. And only way to reestablish connection with yourself is the truth. Because this is how you became self, is the truth. All law. So furthermore, in Kabbalah, contrary to a myriad of deliberate disinformation and Kabbalah falsities, The majority of foundational Kabbalah texts were completed between the end of the 15th century and the end of the 16th century. For those you who are studying off this channel, you know the Sufyan that I'm bringing you, which I am, is from the 7th century. So before a Kabbalah existed, a Sufyan existed. A Sufyan is the ancient way of knowledge of self. KOS. So now with Kabbalah, I want to say Kabbalah blah. But Cain and Abel, hey, this whole thing, between the end of the 15th century and the end of the 16th century, this is where majority of this deliberate disinformation and falsity started being created. So if you heard there's no written books on the Kabbalah, well, there are disinformation and falsities of these works because the Kabbalah is a false word. So more works coming out of the Kabbalah is going to be false. So one of the let's see what it says. Okay, one of the first works we want to be especially is the Sefer Yetzirah. The Sefer Yetzirah, they have their own book of creation. This is how they created the Genesis account. Genesis meaning creation. So the Sefer Yetzirah is a pseudepigrapha, text. So all these was concerning a pseudepigrapha text, dealing with child sacrifice, cannibalism, and satanic worship. Cain and Abel. So another one was De Homines Dignati. These things you want to be careful of, and they represent the founding texts of Hermetic, and humanist thought. Don't think because you're getting away like you in Hermetic or practicing Hermetic philosophy that you're not practicing Kabbalah. All these names that you hear like Thrice the Great, Tristis Megistus, Thoth, these are names of dead spirits. And these dead spirits, no matter where you collect them out from, you collected them out of a book. And a book is a science of Kabbalah magic, the magic square. So if you don't understand what you're reading, I suggest not to pick up the book. Just listen to your heart. But if you're adept, then you can, slide into a classroom and begin learning. Oh, there you go right there. Corpus Hermeticum. We heard of that. That is a Kabbalah text. That is a pseudepigrapha text published in 1507 in Venice. All this was going down in Italy, Spain, whatever you want to call it. Now, it was allegedly by an author known as Mercurius Ter Maximus, meaning 3 times the great Hermes. So his conversations in the revelation of reality, existence of man with the chief deity of the underworld. That's satanic worship, identified as Thoth, but in Greek known as Hades, or in Latin known as Satan. See, all these are Kabbalah magics. This is why I'm starting you at the base and the source of all falsehoods. You wouldn't have to pick out one. Now you will know all of them is if they contain sigils, symbols. These things are key for Kabbalah magic to work. Don't matter geometrical shapes, sigils, symbols, letters, numbers are information from Kabbalah magic. So stores having all these products are all forms of Kabbalah magic. As you see, Thoth is Kabbalah magic. The Zohar is another pseudepigrapher text that was published in separate small book, and as well as the completed revised sacred texts, such as the Geneva Bible. So look, they've been copying, changing, reinterpreting to create a worship of darkness. And they said that the Zohar, a revised sacred text such as the Geneva Bible, translated into Hebrew as the Tanakh, or Jewish Bible. There you go. The Jewish are worshiping death, Satan, in many names. So this is why this has to be brought forth. And remember, I don't like bringing forth. This is too much negativity. So I can only do one of these. So I got to do it. And I got to do it the best I can do it. But these things are not what you are saying and what you are thinking. Most of your thoughts, your emotions have been coming from these unknown templates. All the way to death. I have to explain, as you've seen the word Ayin Sof. That word Ayin Sof we're going to come to. This is where they want to bury you as a spirit. They want to bury your spirit in the reverse of a Sufyan. They want to put you in the Ayin Sof, which is the abyss. So this is why you have to be careful as a spirit to know your space, which is your awareness. Because you have to understand you exist. So let's continue. The Zohar, we got that. The claim that the Zohar was composed by Moses de Leon in the 14th century is a 19th century fraud, an attempt to divert attention from England and its 16th century origins. So there we go. English is a form of Kabbalah magic. So we have to understand these things in order to free ourselves. Self has to die for self. Can't no one else die for self. So self needs to be purified and glorified by wisdom and truth. So another thing is the Etz Hayim. That's a Kabbalah word, meaning the tree of life. The Etz Hayim is a text first published in the 17th century, summarizing the Lurianic Kabbalah teachings of Rabbi Isaac Luria, born in 1534, died in 1572, who expanded on the concepts of the Zohar to create a Kabbalic way. You see how they still in the true way, the one way, the Kabbalic way. And so now everybody want to be a Kabbalist. And this is why I'm bringing this Sufa out, this video. Because everybody want to be a Kabbalist thinking they performing a divinity or something. Or receiving hidden salvation. This is devil worship at its prime. And you are worshiping the first dead spirit, Baal, known as Abel, in reverse. And Abel is in the abyss. The abyss was created by Abel and Cain. So we have to understand, if you don't want to follow Cain and Abel, that means you don't want to follow the tree and eat from the fruit of death. You want to come over to the tree of life. Sufyan life. So you have the Sufyans and you have the Kabbalists. And this is how it always been. And this is how it will be until the mission is fully complete. And those who have studied the Sufyan knows exactly what I'm saying. I have made the Sufyan available on my page, on this channel, for study. This is the KOS Al Sufyan community. We don't follow magic. We don't do magic. We don't believe in make-believe. What's some more about the Kabbalah we need to know? The Bahir. That's another pseudepigrapha text published in Amsterdam in 1651. But it claimed to be from the 1st century. They always using that blah, blah, blah. Pardes Rimononim. Hebrew meaning Garden of the Pomegranates is a text first published in 17th century, summarizing the Cordovian Kabbalah teachings of Rabbi Moses Cordovero. So, as we see, Kabbalah is a form of Satan worship, including practices of child sacrifice and cannibalism. Canon 65:15. The claims that the Kabbalah represents the concealed parts of the oral Torah is a deliberate fraud designed to hide its evilness, its 16th century origin. This is why we have to understand, listen, Canon 65:16. In 1236, remember that century, the rector of the Piscean University of Montpellier, an expert on Arabic literature known as Samuel Judah, was appointed to the new rector of the Piscean University of Cordoba, and the history collection of several 100,000 Arabic texts. By 1242, he had established Cordoba, you heard of that, right, as a university, as the leading Piscean university. They didn't tell him it was a Pisan university, a Kabbalah magic, a Kabbalah university, of the way of death, the way of falsehood. By 1245, began promulgating pseudo-texts, allegedly from a teacher known as Moses, also known as Maimonides, being the distillation and translation into Hebrew of hundreds of texts of Arabic and Persian philosophy. See, and that's where you get the Zoroastrianism, or the Zarathustra. So, and you get the Magi's coming from this practice of Kabbalah magic. So the Magi's are those who practice Kabbalah as well. The three Magi's, as we heard, the 3 times Hermes. That has nothing to do with the triune law. That has to do with something totally different as the Magi, as the 3 times or the 3 initiates. Doing this, spreading the Kabbalic way, the way of Cain and Abel, or cannibalism. So Persian was Kabbalah, Arabic Kabbalah, English Kabbalah, Germany, France Kabbalah. These are all provided as the document on the screen. The creation, Canon 65:17. We have canonical accounts defining these classifications. Cain is 65:17. Now we finna go into the creation of Kabbalah magic was born out of a geopolitical cultural events in the late 15th century. When they told you Columbus sailed the ocean blue, 1492, that's late 15th century. That was Kabbalah magic. So we're going to work our way. Remember, J's wasn't the original letter. So when they added J to Esau, creating a whole new Kabbalistic word, Jesus, this created the Kabbalah magic on America and the world. All right, here it come. In the late 15th century, that saw massive upheaval of traditional Pisan and Venetian noble and intellectual families, and the changing fortunes of the two empires. This all happened out of Kabbalah magic now. They was born, they brought two empires that is still in existence today. You don't know them as these two ancient words, the Pisan and the Venetian. You ain't even heard that the Cordova was the Pisan University. So these people are the evildoers that has been causing evil on the people via dogma and magic and dogma. So let's keep going. Kabbalah is based around a series of key concepts. Now these are the concepts. These are the alien concepts. When I did the Sufa on the alien God, the alien are these people who are practicing this foreign magic called Kabbalah. For Kabbalah to work, you need concepts. And these concepts has to be pushed and pressed into literature, into ways of the people. So let's see. Kabbalah is based around a series of key concepts from which the key and most important doctrines are then derived. So from the concepts comes the keys and the most important doctrines. So now you will hear that the Ayin Sof, the Ayin Sofi. So the Sufi also is under Kabbalah magic because they're not the Sufyan. There's only one way. I had to get me something to wet my throat. But you see, this is why you got to pay attention, man. See, the true language of knowledge was written and kept by Jeremiah. The old knowledge known as the Torah was not given by Moses, as I have proven on my channel. This is divine wisdom that you will not get anywhere else, that took approximately 18 years of no money and nothing but studying. If I did not have good people around, as you have good people around, you can't do the things that you need to do in life. But back to the measure. we got to understand the measure is the mathematics. See, if the mathematics is off, then the math is off. So with Kabbalah, they use numbers and numerology and letters instead of mathematics. Our Salam is mathematics, and mathematics is law. So as we see, they have the Ayin Sufi. Sophie is a Hebrew meaning no end to existence or infinite, in parentheses, wisdom. The Ayin Sophie is the Kabbalah name for the purest form of the divine creator. See how it took the left to right, and reversed it from right to left? This is exactly what they're doing. The correct way is from left to right. But instead, they want to imitate. Ignorance imitates wisdom. So they couldn't leave wisdom. They had to imitate wisdom. So now, this is what I'm talking about. So, the second name of all law is the purest form of the divine creator, provided by the Al-Sufyan, which you will find under my channels, the videos, and if you want to get really into the lives, is where the meetings are. And so this is where you could see and read and feel the whole Sufa as we are bringing it to the manifest on the west of America for all to be free. My intent of making this video, this Sufa, is for all of us to be free. They don't have the word Sufa on here either, I don't see. So now let's go to the next word, Ayin. Ayin, Ayin. Hebrew meaning is not, parentheses, existence. Is the Kabbalah doctrine that before the universe was created, there was only pure Ayin, or pure nothingness, from which was first manifest 11 sephirots, or counts / emanations of the Ayin Sufi, or divine creator. These are the key concepts. So this is how they start working everything off. 3 is yes. So yes means there is a parentheses existence. Olam, we read that word. Hebrew meaning universe or world, is the generic description for the universe. We got all the divine words, divine names, so we're not studying that. Number 5, Sephiroth. Sephiroth, that's the Hebrew meaning counts or emanations. In the Sufyan, we call the Sufyan mathematics. Is the Kabbalah doctrine that the divine creator in purest form, or Ayin Sufi, manifests from pure nothingness, or the Ayin, from the pure nothingness into 11 attributes. We know already the 10 plus 1. We ain't got to go through it. See, then the Kabbalah have the clip off, meaning shells. Is the mystical concept that the body is a shell The body is a shell, parentheses, person, for the soul and not our true selves. So this is what they use as a deep form of magic, the Kabbalah clip-off magic. They take the Sephiroths and turn them into clip-offs. And now the clip-off is considered not your true self, so they can bring damage and corruption. Then Kabbalah has something called tikkun. That means correction or rectification. Is the Kabbalah doctrine whereby a purpose of life for men, not creatures, is to perfect their spiritual selves. Another Kabbalah practice, Temurah, Temurah, meaning exchange, is the Kabbalah doctrine whereby letters, words, and sentences may be arranged in sacred texts or sacred or legal writing without defying divine law. There you go, y'all. That's the practice they use to so-called rearrange the sacred text and not break divine law, called Temurah. Temurah. That's that shopping place, Temurah is a Kabbalah doctrine whereby letters, words, and sentences may be rearranged, reordered in sacred texts or in any sacred or legal fiction, legal writing, without defying divine law or diminishing its ecclesiastical, legal, or lawful effect, providing a standard coding or decoding method is used. Did y'all hear that? Writing without defining. They didn't want to break divine law because they know divine law exists. But instead, they rearrange letters, words, and sentences to create the Kabbalah magic, so they can still have ecclesiastical, legal, or lawful effect, providing a standard coding. So if you ever wonder what system they be using to get, this is the system they be using, the Kabbalah. Also, the primary three methods are at-bash, meaning replacing the first letter with the last, the second with the next last, and so on. Then you got Avgar, replacing each letter with the previous letter. And you got Al-Bomb, replacing the first letter with the 12th letter, and the second with the 13th, and so on. Furthermore, such methods may reveal hidden truths and messages from the divine creator intended for only those willing to learn such Kabbalah arts. See how they hiding this? This is what the Sufyan was saying. They were hiding knowledge in the language of Hebrew and Arabic to keep us from the people. You got no Torah-con. You got the Torah-con, Hebrew meaning. Abbreviation is the Kabbalah doctrine whereby words and sentences in sacred texts and legal writing may be dramatically condensed into meaningless acronyms or even alternate but valid words without defying divine law or diminishing its ecclesiastical, legal, or lawful effect, providing a standard coding or decoding method for creating acronyms is used. See, y'all, so we would never know none about this stuff if we didn't get the actual proof. They would never tell us. They ain't never told us yet. We learning ourselves by doing self-knowledge. And it's good some of us been on the road a long time. And that way, we can all make it home freely and willingly. Furthermore, such methods may reveal hidden truths and messages from the divine creator intended only, that's the initiates or the governors or the rulers, those willing to learn such Kabbalah arts. Then you have gematria, which is, we looked up, is the Hebrew meaning numerology. That's geometry. That's a Kabbalah doctrine whereby letters, words, and sentences in sacred texts or any legal writing may be replaced with numerical values, numbers, without defying divine law. So this is how they keep changing vibrations, but so-called not violating divine law in the sense of swapping or exchanging, recodifying. But we see that that's not so. Then you have the practice of the art called Zadik, meaning righteous one. This is a Kabbalah doctrine that certain men who have completely freed themselves of their animal soul and vital needs to become holy in the wisdom of the divine creator without the need of ego, fame, or pleasures, yet is willing to strive and suffer for others. The doctrine also says that there is a minimum number of anonymous Zadikim, or hidden saints, living on earth, around 36 at any one time, and it is for their sake alone that the world is not destroyed. See what we're doing? The doctrine. And so you see it's more, so just bear with me. Oh, just bear with me. Utilizing key terms and structures of Kabbalah. The key concepts of Kabbalah magic, or what they say Kabbalah mysticism to hide magic, are the Olamat, meaning 5 worlds. This is a Kabbalah doctrine that existence is a dream of the divine creator, being 5 spiritual worlds describing a descending chain of existence of all things. The cosmology begins with Adam Cod man, or prehistoric man, united as the same essence as Eon, as Ayin Sophie, as the Sufyan that manifests itself into Atziluf, meaning the world of emanation or light, wisdom. Sufia. Then separated by the Masiyach, meaning the curtain, then into Bariah, meaning the world of creation or the world of concept, then into the Yetzirah, meaning the world of formation or reality, then finally Asaya, meaning the world of action. These again, key terms and structures of Kabbalah and the Kabbalah magic. Another one is Gagal Neshama, meaning cycle or transfiguration of souls, or simply, remember, all this is pseudo, or simply reincarnation, a pseudo-pigrapha from the Al Sufyan, or simply reincarnation, is the Kabbalah doctrine, dogma, whereby certain higher souls of men are believed to cycle through a particular series of lives or incarnation over periods of time as part of the tikkun, the rectification of the soul and healing of the world, sometimes upwards or downwards within the realities or dimensions of the divine creator and ultimately towards perfection. And you see, they have done a lot of reinterpretation. The Seder Hishashashlish, Hebrew, God blah blah blah. Order of sequence is the Kabbalah dogma of the order of evolution in the great chain of being, whereby the supreme creator, Sufyan, manifests through 11 states, beginning with the essence of the infinite light before the contraction, the Zimzum, the contraction, the Reshimu, the impression, the Kav, the line of light, the Razum, Kadam, original desire, the Adam Kadman, the original man, Atzulis, word of emanation, the Masak, the curtain, the Baraya, the word of creation, and Yatsara, the word of formation, and Asaya, the word of action. Woo. And the Ex Hakayim, Hebrew meaning tree of life, is a mystical diagram of circles and lines, most commonly used to display the elements of the Sephirah, which at the deepest level is claimed as a literal representation as the tree of life and knowledge from the Garden of Eden, meant to reveal to the worthy Kabbalah initiate the knowledge gained first man, Adam Kadman, concerning the nature of Allah, the universe, before he was banished by Elohim. All pseudo. Ooh, we got him in the bag now. Merkabah, another pseudo Kabbalah teaching, dogma. Chariot is the deeply esoteric and secret Kabbalah doctrine whereby the world of matter and existence is held together as a matrix of symbology, which may be viewed through divine sight by a worthy Kabbalah initiate using entheogens or sacred hallucinogenic drugs. A common symbology of hallucinogenic, entopic phenomena is seeing circles or wheels within the fabric of the sky, land, or water, similar to the visions of drug-induced writings for thousands of years. So all the false teachings or the ways of death all use drugs. So as you see it here, and that's bring us to the end of Kabbalah magic, Kabbalah mysticism. And that is the spirit practice to the antithesis of humanism. You hear transhumanism. This all come from Kabbalahism. So Kabbalahism is the magic of illusion, an illusion placed on all the people. Your name, address, your home, your state. None of this was created by your peoples. So we have to understand, and now we do understand, the church all come from Kabbalah. So my mouth is dry. In conclusion, the Kabbalah comes from the foundation of Cain and Abel. This is where you get the word Kabbalah from. Bala is Abel, and especially Abel dead is Baal or Bala. Baal, Babel, the Tower of Babel, Babylon, the great whore. This is who it is. The cabal, the Kabbalists, and all in association with that way of life. So no more Kabbalah magic. We are now no longer not knowing the truth. Ignorance is no excuse. We have the wisdom of the Al-Sufyan. We are Sufyans for those who have been chosen as the 144. And so to love and respect learning is why I did this video. So in closing, salam, salam, wadu.